The plan for a God of War film has been around since 2005, but until now, nothing has ever been realized. Rumors spread around again after the release of 2018's God of War, in which Kratos, a previously monotonal character, turned into a complex father warrior and monster, fighting both on the field and within his heart about how to treat his son.
And you, Atreus, are clearly not ready.
The New York shared a quote from a Sony representative who talked about the long-awaited God of War film, denying that the company is developing a game-to-feature adaptation of the action-adventure franchise. Contrary to speculation, one that is not, at least not anytime soon. According to a Sony spokesman, it has been 15 years since the blockbuster video game God of War was made available on the PlayStation 2 console. At that time, came also the idea of making the game into a God of War film. After many years of uncertainty, things are at last moving forward, and it seems that Hollywood is prepared to make the God of War film. Currently, Stephen S. DeKnight might be directing the film. DeKnight directed Pacific Rim Uprising, so he is experienced in directing big films. DeKnight also produced the first season of the Netflix show Daredevil, which became an instant hit. Although today he is no longer writing the episodes for the project, he has been replaced by Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton. Although their work is based on self-scripts as a start for their treatment, the Dunstan-Melton duo has been working together a lot in the past on projects such as some of the Saw sequels and Piranha 3D. With the God of War game plot succeeding the swords and sandals genre, similar to some of the latest ones like Prince of Persia and Clash of the Titans, writer Dunstan comments that this movie will be completely different. He also added that those films can notify the God of War film to take a more bold path, not to join those ranks, but to stand head and shoulders apart, like from what other reinventions have done within that genre. The satisfying element is to look at those movies as a commentary on the genre, and now say something different. As his writing partner Mellon said that the story aims to reach a bigger emotional influence than the previous swords and sandal films have achieved. He then revealed that it will cost $150 million to make the film, so they must get to know this character well to feel his pain as well as his other emotions, so that when he is in these huge set pieces, they can be there with him. That is a critique of some of these big action films, is that they often get too big and just become noise. You're not invested in the character. Here's everything to know about what's happening with the God of War movie now. Sadly, I don't have good news for those of you hoping for that long-awaited God of War film. It isn't going to happen. After all these years of developing the idea, writing, and rewriting the screenplay, fans won't be seeing the film. But instead, smash that like button and it will become a series. Yes, recently while there was a Sony investors presentation, it was reported that a God of War series will be streamed on Amazon Prime. It was announced in the Q&A part of the presentation that Sony Interactive Entertainment's head boss replied to a question and confirmed that the series is being developed. With this adaptation from a film to a series, likely the previous names included in the film project won't be part of the series. An earlier deadline announcement claims that Mark Fergus and Hulk Otsby will take control, and Rafe Judkins will also be part of it.
Kratos.
Zeus?
Once it was announced that a God of War film was in the works, fans threw out the names of Jason Momoa or Dave Bautista as Kratos. As the film transformed into a TV series, fans are still hyping these two actors. Confidently, we will discover soon whom Sony and its PlayStation production branch choose to play the key role. Also, it seems that they will be spending a lot of money to make this happen. Taking into consideration how much Amazon spent on their Lord of Rings series adaptation and invested a fortune into Wheel of Time, there is some pattern there, definitely. The video game God of War was developed by David Jaffe for Sony at their Santa Monica studio. The franchise, and it is a massive one now, contains 8 games covering numerous platforms. God of War's story is based on ancient mythology, and it is about a Spartan warrior named Kratos. Revenge is on his mind, as he has been deceived into murdering his own family by his previous master and the Greek God of War Ares. Kratos' route is now set, so he can go through it and get his revenge. That's the story of the game, and there is so much material in it for a great God of War film. Sony must have agreed since that was the idea. But then, like all things that stayed in development hell, there is never one particular problem. The aim is always for the best, to make a huge amount of money. But the implementation of these plans always seems to turn out as not as expected. So while 15 years seems and is like a very long time to be waiting for a God of War film, there are so much more stories that have remained in development hell just as long. This is not something to be surprised by. It is just annoying for fans who were expecting to see a God of War film on the big screen.
Gather your things. We are leaving.
There have been many attached to the film version of God of War over the past 15 years, from director Brett Ratner to writer David Jaffe to having Rock Dwayne Johnson attached as Kratos. Sadly, lots of things have changed over the 15 years. None of them remain for the God of War film project long enough to make it. Dwayne has told Sony about the likelihood of making God of War an R-rated flick, but says his approach would be like adapting a novel into a film. He commented that he had some early talks with the good people at Sony PlayStation about it, and the most important thing for him is that it has to be approached as a book. You have to approach it like adapting Jaws, and for everyone who has read Jaws, the film is very different, but they are both amazing. So what he thinks you should do is to take the original material and make it work as a film. The problem that various video game films have had when Hollywood adapts them for the big screen is that they either go for the video game look and feel the same, or they completely mess it up. So how do you find a balance between attracting an audience and also pleasing the video game fanboy? Dunstan commented that the God of War film has been permitted by the studio to be a great film. And it does not just have to be loyal to the game, since video games are made for different purposes. It's been allowed to be a fantastic film, which is sometimes a different paradigm than engineering a game. It just is. I just cannot wait for someone to get their eyes on it and see, because it was a wonderful experience, explained Dustin. One more plan recently came up from God of War game director Cory Barlog. With the success of Netflix's The Witcher, why not smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell and make it a series instead? As for the God of War Ragnarok video game, it is scheduled to be released later this year on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. At first, it was reserved to come sooner, but because of the delayed production and the health issues of Christopher Judge, the voice actor who portrays Kratos. Check out these videos next.